Richard, well done.
I'm used to radio where you can't actually see people. It's very alarming to be able to see people. I guess every author writes about, you know, their own life, their influence, and the sort of things that they want to write about by their own life. I grew up in a very ordinary suburban house in Canberra, ordinary suburban family. I don't think I was the favourite, which is quite hard when you're an only child. But as far as Deborah goes, well, she can take what she's given, really. She's a writer herself. Does anyone watch Offspring on Channel 10? That's her show. She's a creator and head writer of Offspring, which is the Asher Ketty show on Channel 10. And I'm of enormous assistance to her. We have this fantastic. Because she writes the storyline, obviously. And we have these great things where she says, I just can't, you know, series 3, episode 2, I can't look at. Will you help me? Will you please help me? I said, of course I will. And we go and walk the dog, and as we go down the front steps, she starts talking. She says, I mean, what I want to do is I want to do something where Asher does that, but I don't think the John Waters character would accept that. I don't think that's what the father would do, because the father's too busy doing that. But if I did that with it, but then is that really right for Kat? Is the Kat Stewart character, is she really going to do that? And what about the Eddie Perfect character? Is he going to? And she just talks and she talks and she talks, and we walk down the hill and up into the park and around. Occasionally I go, yeah. And occasionally I pick up dog poo. And she talks and she talks and after about an hour of this, suddenly the plot resolves itself in her head and it kind of falls out like this beautiful, shiny offspring baby. But Offspring's about babies, and in this perfect little thing, she says, oh, thank you so much for your help. And I say, it was nothing. I do feel that she's always sort of watching me with this mordant eye. I don't know if you've got I've got an answering machine at work, and I'll say, just remember, when you get into work, remember to put that book into your bag. You know, I'll leave myself a message. And Deborah overhears me when I'm doing this, and she reckons I use a special voice when I'm talking to myself. I ring up and say, just remember to put that book into the bag. Bye. And she calls that voice my sexy boy voice. She says I'm talking to sexy boy. She says, how is sexy boy today? Is he well? How does she want me to speak to myself when I ring up myself on the phone? To brusquely, put the book in the bag, buddy. Put the book in the bag. Oh, I don't know. This mordant person following me around and trying to judge me. So even some of my favourite writers, like someone like Martin Amis, who I adore, I think he's one of the great stylists of the language, you read something like London Fields and it's as if there is a crime on the corner of every street in London, as if every municipal toilet block is circled around with police tape, that there's corruption and murder and dirt and disgrace everywhere. And if you really believe that, you'd never walk out your door. Maybe he doesn't, I don't know. But it does strike me that it's weird that the image of London that comes out through our highest literary culture, something like a Martin Amis novel, is exactly the same as in the London Sun. You know, in a tabloid newspaper which says there's crime everywhere, corruption everywhere, everything's going to the dogs. And there's something weird when your highest literary culture and your lowest literary culture are both portraying this quite misleading idea of what society is about and how society has worked. So, I try to stand up for hope, I suppose, and for an optimism about it. I saw, even in the last election, the way that Tony Abbott and Julia Gillard spent the whole campaign going to the suburbs on the edges of Melbourne and Sydney and kind of trying to reassure people that they understood how shit their lives were. Oh, we know how shit your life is. Oh, I know it better than the other guy. Yeah, I think it's really shit. Your Windsor Road, it's terrible. I know, it's terrible. Yeah, the price of petrol, Woolworths, they're mongrels. You know, this was the basic election campaign.